Our today's topic is going to be life is too short. I hear all the time people come and say, that person made me unhappy. And I always look back and say, is that really true all the time? Like if one of the famous authors once said that for you to be made unhappy by somebody else, you must first give permission to that person to make you unhappy. I think this is a very profound statement. One needs to be very careful before we become unhappy from somebody's actions. It is generally us. We feel that somebody is trying to hurt us or doing purposely or sometimes not even purposely ending up hurting us. But we really have to be careful before we make that statement. The genesis of this starts with the expectations. If the expectations are minimal in personal relationships, I think the disappointments and the times that the other person can make you unhappy are far and few in between. In professional relationship, if the expectations are well defined and they are followed through in writing, then I think these kind of statements would be, again, very, very far and few in between. So my first recommendation that I follow and to everybody else who listens to this video is that please do not let somebody else make you unhappy, because by and large, not all the time, it is in your control to not get there. The second thing I always hear is that I never got the opportunity like somebody else got it. And that's also partly true, partly it's all our own doing. So just like the situation where somebody made me unhappy, let's talk about that to see an example. That is, I was in a taxi in New York one day, and the driver was so happy, and he would find his way through all these tough New York streets. People would cross him, he won't get upset. People would stop him, he won't get upset. He would just laugh and then move on. And I was really impressed by his appearance of everything was fine situation. So I said, obviously you and I both can see people are not doing the right thing. Why aren't you getting upset? He said, first of all, what is that going to do? You're only going to make me unhappy. I can't change them. So what's the purpose of me getting unhappy? It's only going to hurt me. Second, we also need to recognize that person's situation. It's not that he wants to hurt me, that he's doing the wrong things on the street. Maybe he has some other issues going on in his life, in his brain, that he's just not paying attention to it. So why am I the person that somebody else did something wrong, I would just assume that he's doing it to hurt me, versus he may be in a dire situation and he's now just a victim of circumstances. And you know, when I heard those things, I was very impressed. It didn't make any difference. We still got wherever we need to get at the same time, whether he would have been angry or not angry. So again, it's very important that let us not make anybody make us unhappy. Try very, very hard to take that control away from the other person. The second piece of it that I never got the opportunity is the great story in 2007 on Joshua Bell. A lot of us know he was one of the classical music violinists of this century. He carried out an experiment. He actually stood on the street and played about 6 of the most difficult pieces of the classical music known to the man. On the street, he collected $32.17 from the passerbys who listened to his music. Just 2 weeks later, when he actually presented in the music center at Strathmore, where he was known as Joshua Bell, everybody paid him $1,000 a minute to play the music. Same thing, same music. Somewhere he got $32 for the whole hour and a half. In other place he got $1,000 a minute. What was the difference? The difference is Joshua Bell never let go his passion. He continued to work, He found opportunities, and over a period of several decades, people came to recognize what value he truly brings, and he escalated himself to that level where people would pay $1,000 a minute. Same thing with us. If rather than blaming the circumstances in the world around us, which doesn't allow us to prosper and go forward, I really believe that if we just take a step back and say, what are my good qualities and what can I offer the world? There is something unique, something different than the rest of the world is offering. And then we work hard at it and create this situation where we are rewarded as what we think we should be rewarded. So these two particular incidences, I think, really gets the message. Life is too short to blame anybody to make us unhappy. Life is too short to blame the world for not allowing us to prosper. And if we just keep these two things in our mind, I think we'll wake up every morning very happy and continue to make progress. When the responsibility of success is brought onto ourselves and not on others, suddenly new doors open, because now we have nobody to blame but the person whom we see in the mirror.